like I've been here before. Could be. Maybe it's because I live here and I do all the reviews from here. But anyway, talking about sequelitis, will I love this movie as much as I loved the first one? Let's talk about a movie that is a sequel, and let's talk about Happy Death Day to You. Got my love stuck in my soul, in my throat. I let my love out in the cold. Happy Death Day to You is once again directed by Christopher Landon, but this time he's also writing the movie. It's the continuing story of Tree, Carter, and the rest of the gang as we try to go through the same day over and over again. But this time with the added benefit of a multiverse. Now, I don't have to explain, I really love the first one. I know the first one was one of my favorite movies of 2017. It was a horror slasher movie with comedy in it, little bit of romance, and a whole lot of heart, which you don't really get in this genre, in the horror genre. So what do we do with Happy Death Day Part 2? We go into science fiction. Yeah, this movie is a less horror and more science fiction-y. I mean, there are horror elements in it. There are slasher moments in it. They use Tree as a plot point this time to do science fiction stuff. I know a lot of people didn't like the fact that it took them all the way until the end to throw out what they were riffing on, the Groundhog's Day motif. This time, they tell you pretty much like around the 20-minute mark, 25-minute mark, exactly what movie they're riffing, and they do a really good job at it, I have to say. What I really liked about this movie is the continuing of character, like character growth in general. Like the Tree, who started off as a complete bitch in the first movie, moves on in that movie, and in this movie she has to deal with the fact of what she's doing, and because what the multiverse has given her. This is a non-spoiler review, so if I sound like I'm being vague, it's because I kind of have to, because once you start getting into the minutia, small details of the movie, it's really easy to spoil it for you. I will say this, the movie starts off with a different main character, and it almost makes it seem like we're going to do the same thing we did in the first movie, it's just we're just going to concentrate on someone else. This movie smartly doesn't do that. It does that to progress the story and do a little bit of explanation on why the first one happened. But once you get to a certain spot in the movie, and you'll know it when you see it, they rightly give the movie back to Tree, and back again played by Jessica Rothe. I really liked her in both movies. She can wear so many hats in these movies. She can play the serious role, she can play the comedic role. When she has to emote, and she does, you feel bad for her, you feel sorry for her. I know a lot of people in the first movie said that she was a little bit too bitchy, but I still liked her. Like, I never didn't like her. She was unlikable, yeah, but like, it wasn't like I was sitting there going, oh, I hate this movie. Why is this main character still there? Why isn't she dead? And this is the whole franchise feels like, especially in this one, you get tons of feels. What's going on is that Tree's going through the multiverse, so she's running through different people. Or the same people, just different versions of them. And this is a movie, just like the first one when I said it, this is a slasher film where you don't look at anyone and go, yo, you're gonna die soon, you're cannon fodder. That's all you're there for, you're there to die. This is a movie who cares about its characters a lot. Jessica Rothe, like I said, amazing in this movie. I can't say enough good things about her. She can flip it on a dime. Just like in the first movie, there's a very emotional scene that I really enjoyed between her and her father. This movie goes further than that scene, and amazingly enough. there's a scene where a character is revealed. And I'm not gonna lie, when that reveal happened, I got choked up. I had tears. I kind of felt, I got emotional. I was like, holy cow. And this movie, you like the character so much that when someone has to make an emotional decision, you get emotional with them. I always, when people point to like basic horror movies, they always say, oh, what's the kills, da da da. How gruesome was it? Both these movies, the first one and this one, are PG-13. This one gets a little bit more closer to R than the first one because there's kind of a lot of swearing in this movie. There's a little bit more blood, but it's really tame for what's going on. But the characters grow. Like there's Carter's back. And Carter's a really interesting character in this movie because while he does take a step back a little bit as to how he's featured, he's very important to the plot and the progression of other characters. I like the sci-fi elements of it, especially once you kind of figure it out, but the horror elements do come in. I wish it was done a little bit better. Because most of the times all it was is one character looking for something, the camera zooms in on it, nothing's there, and then when the camera goes back to the person, the killer or whatever is behind them. And it does have a couple of cheap jump scares, but nothing egregious, nothing I would like dismiss against it. There is another montage, of course, where a tree is dying, but here it's a little bit different. It serves a more plot function. This movie has some callbacks to the first one. One pretty much at the beginning where I kind of laughed. One at the end where I was like, oh yeah, I remember him. And it was kind of dumb. The humor more times than not hits. I did laugh a lot at this, and you're supposed to laugh at it. I didn't know what song was playing during the death montage. But I liked it. Nothing reaches the level of Mother with Love Struck in the first movie when she comes out and she figures out how to be a better person and they play that song. I love that song. I bought the CD right after I saw it. If I'm going to say anything bad about this movie, I'm kind of interested to see how people who like the first movie adjust to the fact that it's not a horror movie, or it tones down the horror. It's more science fiction, and it goes more for relationships and more emotional. So I'm really interested to see how people take it. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I'm not gonna lie. When you get towards the end and you see what's the decision one of the characters has to make, and you really sit there and think about it, it is kind of heartbreaking, and I did feel really bad. There's a couple, I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple of scenes that I got really emotional with, just because the good thing about this series, it's not based on the kills, it's not based on the gore, it really is character based. And Jessica Rothe is fantastic. I think I'm gonna go really high on this movie. I was struggling to figure out how to grade it, since it is a bit of a departure from the first one, and the movie they're riffing on is something I haven't seen in, I want to say 30 years maybe. So I'm not as well versed in it. And actually, I've never seen Groundhog's Day, so. But that one I got more. I'm going to go 8.8. I really enjoyed this movie. Had fun with the characters. Stay during the credits because there is a post-credit scene that hints at a part 3. I hope, if they do a part 3, I hope it's not with where they were headed. None of the characters annoyed me. I enjoyed the death scenes. It was a different tone. It's a different flavor of a movie. But I enjoyed it. The first 20 minutes are kind of weird, or the beginning of the movie is kind of weird since you're following a different character and not Tree. But once Tree took over, it was her movie, and Jessica Rothe has charisma to spare. And she does it all. So yeah, that's my review for Happy Death Day to You. Are you gonna see it? If you did see it today was opening day, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. I have a very strong feeling people who like the first one aren't gonna like this one, because it does tone down the horror. Oh, one more bad thing about this movie. The killer was kind of incidental, and I didn't kind of understand his motives. It was just kind of like, what? Why? And it was just like, I was just having too much fun with everything else. But let me know what you thought about it. I think later this week I'm going to be doing a spoiler review with Jeff, because he hasn't seen it. He'll be seeing it this weekend. So that's it for now. Until next time.
'Cause I've got my love stuck in my head,